My friend, listen to me with all your heart, because what I am about to tell you is not an accident, not a coincidence, not a random arrangement of words. This is a divine appointment. There are moments in life when God interrupts your ordinary routine with an extraordinary message. And this is one of those moments. There are seasons when God steps into the battlefield of your life and declares, enough. The struggle ends here. The storms stop here. The confusion breaks here. And I am here to tell you with every ounce of conviction within me that your season of victory begins now. You may not feel victorious. You may not see a way out. You may be surrounded by circumstances that look impossible, situations that feel overwhelming, and challenges that seem too great to bear. But hear this truth. Deep within your spirit, God does not wait for conditions to look favorable before He declares victory over your life. God speaks victory even when everything around you whispers defeat. God announces breakthrough even when your eyes see only barriers. God prepares a way out long before you even realize you were trapped. Your season of victory begins now, not because everything is perfect, but because God is stepping into your situation with power. Your season of victory begins now, not because you feel strong, but because God is strengthening you. Your season of victory begins now, not because the enemy has stopped attacking, but because God is lifting you above the reach of the enemy's hands. God specializes in stepping into the darkest moments of a person's life and turning them into testimonies that shake nations. And right now, God is working behind the scenes, arranging blessings, shifting atmospheres, and aligning events that will prove that no force on earth can stop the one whom God has chosen to elevate. Some of you have been walking through seasons that seemed endless seasons of hurt, seasons of betrayal, seasons of confusion, seasons where you silently ask yourself, will things ever change for me? Will I ever rise? Will my day ever come? Yes, your day will come. In fact, it has already begun. You may not see the full picture yet, but the shift has already taken place. God does not wait for the sun to rise to start a new day. God begins a new day in the darkness long before the first light touches the sky. And just like that, your victory season has already started, even if the evidence hasn't yet shown up in your life. Victory begins when God declares it, not when your situation displays it. Victory begins when God speaks it, not when people recognize it. Victory begins when God decides it, not when your enemies accept it. And God has decided that your season of victory begins now. The chains that held you have broken. The doors that were shut are shifting. The burdens that weighed you down are losing their power. God is moving you from a place of struggle to a place of strength, from a place of fear to a place of confidence, from a place of waiting to a place of receiving. There are moments when God brings you to the edge of everything familiar, not to destroy you, but to prepare you. Some of you have been wondering why God allowed certain things to happen, why certain people walked out, why certain battles dragged on for so long. You thought God was ignoring you, but God was positioning you. You thought God was delaying your breakthrough, but God was developing your character. You thought God was silent, but God was working in ways you could not see. And now, after everything you've gone through, God is saying, this is the moment, this is the season, this is the hour. Rise, for I am giving you victory. Your victory will not come from people, for people are too unpredictable. Your victory will not come from your own strength, for your strength has limits. Your victory will not come from circumstances, for circumstances can turn overnight. Your victory will come from God, the one who knows every tear you cried, every prayer you whispered, every night you stayed awake hoping for change. God saw it all, and God is honoring the faith you kept when everything tried to break you. Some of you thought the pain you felt was going to bury you. You thought the disappointment was going to cripple you. You thought the setback was the end of your story. But what you didn't realize was that God was allowing those things to build a deeper strength inside you. A strength you didn't know you had. A strength that can only come from walking with. God, through the Valley God, was shaping you, refining you, preparing you to carry a victory so great that even your enemies will have no choice but to say, surely God was with this person. This is why you cannot give up now. You are too close. You are standing at the threshold of a new chapter, a new level, a new identity. God is about to elevate you in ways you never imagined. God is about to open doors that were locked for years. God is about to break cycles that ran in your family for generations. God is about to silence voices that mocked you, doubted you, and underestimated you. God is about to turn your pain into power, your tears into testimony, your waiting into winning. Your season of victory begins now because God has declared it. And when God declares something, no one can reverse it. When God opens a season, no one can close it. When God decides to bless you, no one can block it. You have cried enough. You have worried enough. You have battled long enough. This is the time God chose to lift you. Victory is not coming, it is here. Victory is not on the way, it has arrived. Victory is not in the future, it has already begun to unfold around you. Your spirit can feel it even if your eyes can't see it yet. Something inside you knows that God is shifting things. Something in your heart recognizes that the struggles you faced were not a burial, they were a planting. And now, God is causing you to rise. The same hands that carried you through the storm are the hands now placing a crown of victory on your life. The same God who allowed you to be tested is the God who is now rewarding your perseverance. The same God who saw you endure the night is now preparing your morning. And when God gives victory, it is not partial, not temporary, not fragile, it is full, complete, overflowing, undeniable. God does not give halfway victories. God gives victories that silence every doubt, every fear, every critic, every enemy. Victories that cause you to say, only God could have done this. Victories that lift you beyond the reach of negativity. Victories that set you on a higher path. Victories that redefine who you are. Victories that confirm God's hand upon your life. My friend, breathe deeply and feel this truth. Your season of victory begins now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Now. This is your moment. This is your shift. This is your divine turning point. God is moving. God is acting. God is lifting. And no force on earth can stop what God has started in your life. My friend, when God ushers in a season of victory, it does not enter quietly. It does not slip into your life unnoticed. It comes with a shift in the atmosphere, a stirring in the soul, a trembling in the unseen realms. There are moments when you feel something changing inside you long before anything changes around you. That is because God always works within you before God works around you. A victorious season is not just a change in circumstances, it is a divine transformation in your spirit. God strengthens your inner world so that when the outer world finally shifts, you are ready to carry what God has prepared for you. And right now, God is renewing your spirit, sharpening your discernment, and awakening the strength that has been waiting to rise. There comes a point in every believer's life when God refuses to let them remain in the place of brokenness forever. You may have been fighting the same battles, carrying the same burdens, or wrestling with the same fears for years. But God is stepping into your life with authority and declaring, this ends now. You see, when God says a season is over, no amount of worry can extend it. And when God says a new season has begun, No force on earth can delay it. This is why you must embrace the shift even if it feels unfamiliar. New seasons often arrive disguised as discomfort, what you call disruption. God calls transition. What you call loss, God calls repositioning. What feels like confusion is often the very doorway through which God leads you into purpose. Many people misunderstand victory. They think victory means everything becomes easy, or enemies disappear overnight, or the path suddenly becomes smooth. But victory is deeper than that. Victory is when God gives you the strength to walk through what others fall under. Victory is when God lifts your spirit above the weight of the storm. Victory is when you stand in the middle of adversity with peace that makes no sense to anyone but you and God. Victory is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of God's power in the midst of it. And when God empowers you, the same things that once defeated you lose their authority over your life. You see, when God decides it is time to lift you, the process is not always comfortable. God begins disconnecting you from what once held you. God pulls you away from the voices that weakened you. God separates you from distractions that kept you spiritually numb. The pruning feels painful, but it is purposeful. God removes what cannot go with you into the next season. God knows that your victory cannot flourish in environments that drained you. So do not be surprised if people you once leaned on are suddenly distant. Do not be confused if certain relationships lose their grip. Do not be alarmed if familiar places no longer feel right. God is cutting away what was limiting you so you can rise without anything holding you back. And hear this, when God is preparing you for victory, God shields you from things you never even knew were meant to harm you. Some closed doors were not rejection, they were protection. Some delays were not denials, they were divine timing. Some losses were not endings, they were redirections. There were battles God fought for you that you never even saw. There were dangers God blocked that you never even felt. There were traps set against you that God dismantled before your feet ever touched them. This is what victory looks like. Before it becomes visible, God working quietly, powerfully, tirelessly on your behalf. But now, God is shifting from quiet preparation to visible demonstration. The things God once hid, God will now reveal. The blessings that were once developing in the unseen will now manifest in your reality. The favor that was growing beneath the surface will now rise to the top. God is about to display what has been in the making for years. You are stepping into a season where breakthroughs will not be delayed, where opportunity will not be blocked, where your name will rise without you pushing, forcing, or begging. God will make your presence known in rooms you have never entered. God will cause your voice to carry further than your reputation. God will turn what was a burden into a bridge that leads you into greater purpose. This is the season where God lifts you above limitations that once defined your life. And understand this clearly, victory is not given to the comfortable. Victory is given to the faithful. It belongs to those who kept walking when they were tired, kept praying when they felt discouraged, kept believing when nothing made sense, kept trusting when nothing seemed to change. God saw your faithfulness in the dark, and now God will reward you in the light. God saw your tears, and now God will replace them with joy. God saw your endurance, and now God will crown you with honor. God saw every hidden battle you fought silently, and now God is about to reward you openly. You must also understand that when God brings you into a season of victory, it is not just about you. God is not only lifting you, God is using you. Your breakthrough is going to release someone else. Your story is going to strengthen someone else. Your transformation is going to awaken someone else. God does not give victory for decoration. God gives victory for purpose. There are people waiting to see what God will do in your life, so they can believe that God can do it in theirs. You are not just stepping into a new season. You are becoming a living testimony of God's power. When God elevates you, the enemy will try to intimidate you, distract you, or discourage you. But hear me, the enemy cannot override a season God has ordained. The enemy cannot block what God has released. The enemy cannot cancel what God has decreed. God's authority is final, absolute, unshakable. When God writes your victory into your destiny, no voice can erase it. When God pushes you forward, no force can pull you back. When God declares, rise, even your past must step aside and let you walk into your future. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders, strengthen your spirit. God is not asking you to hope, God is telling you to expect. Expect breakthroughs that break patterns. Expect blessings that make sense only when you remember who God is. Expect restoration so complete it silences every doubt you ever had. Expect a turnaround so sudden it feels like God touched your life overnight. Expect a victory so undeniable that even those who doubt it, you will stand in awe of what God has done. Your spirit knows this truth already. Something inside you has been stirring. Something in your heart has been rising. Something in your soul has been whispering, change is coming. The waiting has not been wasted. God is about to do something great. That is not imagination, that is divine confirmation. God is preparing you to step into a level of strength, peace, clarity, and favor that you have not tasted before. God is aligning your life with blessings that were reserved just for you. And as you step into this new season, remind yourself daily that victory is not a moment, it is a mindset. It is knowing that God is with you in every step, every breath, every decision, every challenge. It is walking with the confidence of someone who knows they are divinely supported. It is rising each morning with the assurance that nothing can happen to you unless God allows it. And if God allows it, God will use it for your elevation. God is not done. God is just beginning. What you are stepping into is only the first wave of what God has prepared for you. The doors opening now are only a glimpse of what is coming. You are entering a season where you will not just survive, you will overcome, you will rise, you will conquer, you will shine. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what God has set in motion. There comes a moment in every person's life when God stops whispering and begins thundering in the spirit. When God stops nudging and begins pushing. When God stops allowing you to walk and instead commands you to rise. You are in that moment right now. The shift is not coming, it has already begun. You may not recognize it fully yet, because God often changes the spiritual atmosphere before transforming the physical one. But something deep within you already senses that this is not an ordinary season. This is a divine turning point. A moment written into your destiny long before you took your first breath. God has decided that you will rise, and no force in existence can overturn that decree. But let me tell you something profound. Victory does not begin with your circumstances changing. Victory begins when you change, when your spirit wakes up, when your heart refuses to settle, when your voice begins to speak with authority, when your mind becomes aligned with the power and truth of God. That inner awakening is the first sign that God is preparing something extraordinary. And right now, you are waking up, not by accident, not by chance, but by divine design. God is stirring you because God is ready to elevate you. For too long, you have measured yourself by what you went through. You've allowed past seasons to define your worth. You've allowed painful memories to shape your identity. But hear this. What happened to you was a chapter, not the whole book. God is writing beyond your history. God is taking you into realms your pain could not follow. God is separating you from the version of yourself that survived to reveal the version of yourself that will soar. You are not who you were when the storm started. You are stronger, wiser, deeper, sharper. God did not allow you to go through the valley just so you could remain the same. God allowed it to carve out a victory that only someone tested by fire could carry. You see, the victory God is bringing into your life is not a surface level change. This is not about temporary blessings or quick emotional highs. This is a foundational shift in your destiny. God is uprooting old limitations, old doubts, old fears, old cycles, because what God is preparing for you requires a new version of you. God is not just opening doors. God is expanding your capacity. God is not just clearing your path. God is strengthening your footing. God is not just giving you blessings. God is equipping you to handle the weight of those blessings. And let me tell you something many people overlook. Victory requires preparation. God does not release greatness to those unprepared to carry it. God builds you first, then blesses you. God strengthens your faith before revealing your future. God tests your endurance before increasing your influence. And many of the struggles you faced were not signs of abandonment. They were signs of preparation. God trusted you with challenges because God planned to trust you with victory. When God allows you to face difficulty, it is because God sees something in you that even you have not discovered yet. There were moments you thought you were abandoned, but God was actually training you. Moments you thought you were forgotten, but God was actually refining you. Moments you thought everything was falling apart, but God was actually putting things into divine alignment. God does not prepare small destinies through easy paths. God prepares warriors through battles, leaders through adversity, and overcomers through storms. And you have endured enough storms to prove that you are ready to walk into the victory that has been written for you. But hear this truth with all your heart. The victory coming your way is not only about what God is giving you, it is also about what God is removing. God is clearing out the people who drained you, the environments that weakened you, and the patterns that sabotaged you. God is removing access from those who misused it, closing doors to those who did not value you, and cutting ties that were slowing your progress. When you see loss in this season, do not mourn. Recognize it as God's strategy. God removes what cannot follow you because victory requires a lighter spirit. You cannot rise while carrying what was meant to remain behind. This is why you must trust God's decisions even when you don't understand them. God sees beyond your vision. God knows what lies ahead. God is protecting you from dangers you cannot yet perceive and guiding you toward breakthroughs you have not yet imagined. Some of the greatest blessings God will ever give you are hidden inside the things you did not want to experience. Pain that refined you, isolation that strengthened you, silence that deepened you, delays that positioned you. Every moment was part of a divine strategy to bring you into this season. And now God is preparing to release things into your life that will silence every doubt you carried. There are blessings waiting for you that will confirm God never forgot you. There are opportunities aligned for you that will reveal why every delay was necessary. There are breakthroughs forming that will show you why the struggle had to last as long as it did. God never wastes pain. God never wastes tears. God never wastes endurance. Everything has been building toward this moment of divine elevation. You must also understand that victory is not only about what God is doing for you, it's about what God is doing through you. God is shaping you into someone whose presence carries strength, whose voice carries authority, whose spirit carries peace, and whose life carries influence. There are people who will be inspired by your rise. There are families that will be healed through your transformation. There are souls that will find hope through your perseverance. God is not just blessing you. God is making you a vessel of light in a world drowning in darkness. Your victory will speak louder than any explanation you could ever give. Your rise will silence every rumor, every doubt, every misjudgment. Your transformation will leave people say, I don't know how they made it through that, but God was truly with them. And that is the ultimate purpose of victory, not just for you to rise, but for God to be glorified through your rising. This season will demand a new level of courage from you. It will require you to step away from comfort, step away from fear, step away from hesitation, and step boldly into what God has prepared. God is calling you to walk with confidence, speak with authority, move with intention, and believe without wavering. Your old mindset cannot enter this new chapter. The doubts that held you before have no place here. The insecurities that whispered to you must fall silent. God has spoken, and your spirit must align with that truth. Victory belongs to you because God has declared it. And remember, this, when God ordains a season of victory, it does not come in small measures. God does not sprinkle blessings, God pours them. God does not give fragments, God gives fullness. God does not open narrow pathways. God creates wide open doors. You will not just experience relief, you will experience restoration. You will not just see progress, you will see transformation. You will not just taste victory, you will walk in it daily, boldly, unashamedly. There comes a moment in your journey when God no longer allows you to shrink back into who you used to be. A moment when God refuses to let you retreat into the shadows of old fears and outdated identities. You can feel that moment rising within you right now. It is as if something invisible is pulling you forward, calling you higher, urging you to step beyond the limits you once accepted. That, my friend, is the voice of God announcing that your time has come. The season you prayed for, longed for, waited for, cried for, it is not approaching. It is unfolding. You are standing at the threshold of an ordained transformation, a shift so powerful that when you look back, you will wonder how you ever doubted God's timing. And hear this deeply, your victory will not be quiet. It will not be subtle. It will not be a small ripple. When God gives victory, it arrives like a wave that sweeps through every corner of your life. It transforms your thinking, reshapes your habits, elevates your surroundings, and awakens parts of you that have been dormant for years. This victory will not simply lift your circumstances, it will lift your identity. God is not only rewriting your story, God is rewriting your self-perception. No longer will you see yourself as the one who barely survives. You will see yourself as the one whom God empowers to overcome. Sometimes God removes the cloak of comfort so you can finally see the greatness placed inside you. Growth never comes from ease, it comes from stretching, it comes from pressure, it comes from standing in moments when you feel weak and discovering that God has planted strength deeper than you imagined. What you felt was breaking you was actually building you. What you thought was the end was only a door. God never allows heaviness without hidden purpose. Behind every burden was a blessing being shaped. Behind every setback was strategy being formed. Behind every hardship was your future being strengthened. You are stepping into a season where you will no longer bow to old fears. Those fears tried to convince you that you were unworthy, unprepared, and unwanted. But God never created you to live weighed down by the whispers of doubt. God created you to rise with a bold spirit, to walk with unwavering confidence, to stand with unshakable faith. God created you to live with a heart that trusts even when the path is unclear. And now God is releasing you from the chains of hesitation so you can step fully into the power of who you were destined to be. Your season of victory will also require a new level of surrender. Not surrender to weakness, but surrender to God's plan. There's a difference between giving up and giving in to the will of God. Giving up is rooted in despair. Giving in is rooted in faith. When you surrender to God, you declare, I trust you more than my understanding. I trust you more than my emotions. I trust you more than my fears. That trust becomes the foundation upon which your victory stands. It is the silent force that keeps you stable when everything around you shifts. It is the anchor that holds you when waves crash. It is the fire that ignites your courage when challenges rise. But hear me, your victory will not come from what you control. It will come from what you release. When you release worry, God releases peace. When you release fear, God releases strength. When you release bitterness, God releases healing. When you release doubt, God releases clarity. Your hands cannot receive what God wants to give while they are still gripping what God wants you to let go. This season requires open hands ready to receive, ready to embrace, ready to rise. And as God moves you into this new chapter, understand that victory is not always loud. Sometimes it starts quietly. It begins with a shift inside your spirit, a newfound courage, a renewed hope, a deeper calm, an awakening sense of purpose. This inner shift is the first sign that God is preparing to elevate you externally. The world may not see it yet, but heaven sees it clearly. God sees your spirit strengthening. God sees your faith deepening. God sees your resilience forming. This inner transformation is the soil where outward blessings will grow. But make no mistake, your victory will not remain hidden for long. God does not elevate you in secret. When the season for manifestation arrives, people who overlooked you will see the change. People who doubted you will witness the transformation. People who counted you out will be forced to confront the undeniable truth that God was with you all along. That is the nature of divine elevation. It reveals who stood with you sincerely and who only stayed for what you could give them. Victory has a way of exposing hearts. When God lifts you, the motives of those around you become clear. This is why God sometimes isolates you before elevating you. Isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. When God separates you for a season, it is because the crowd around you cannot enter the next stage of your life. There are blessings that require privacy. There are victories that require silence. There are callings that require solitude. God needed you alone so He could shape you without interference, strengthen you without distraction, and speak to you without competing voices. And now that the shaping has been done, God is ready to release you with power. You must also understand that your victory has already been recorded in heaven. The enemy may try to distract you, discourage you, or deceive you, but the enemy cannot rewrite what God has written. The enemy cannot cancel what God has ordained. The enemy cannot block what God has released. You are stepping into a season where every attempt to hinder your progress will collapse under the weight of God's authority. Every trap set against you will fail. Every plan designed to stop you will backfire. Every word spoken against you will lose its influence. God's decree over your life is final, unshakable, and absolute. And your victory is not limited to a single area. When God moves completely. This victory will touch your mind, your heart, your relationships, your environment, your dreams, your peace. It will flow through every part of your being. This is not just a financial breakthrough or an emotional breakthrough or a spiritual breakthrough. This is a holistic transformation, a renewal of your entire life. God is aligning every area with divine purpose. Where there was disorder, God is bringing harmony. Where there was loss, God is bringing restoration. Where there was stagnation, God is bringing momentum. You are entering a season where God will make things happen for you that you could never make happen on your own. Doors will open without your knocking. Opportunities will arise without your searching. Solutions will appear without your stressing. This is what happens when God goes before you. He clears the path, softens the hearts of people you will meet, aligns circumstances in your favor, and orchestrates outcomes you could never imagine. When God leads, victory becomes inevitable.